Oops. Hey guys. Okay. Hello everyone. Good to see everybody. Thanks for joining in tonight. Exciting to do another Instagram Live. We have another very special guest today. His name is Jim Kwik, and he's a brain expert, and we're going to learn a lot of very useful things about our brain today. How to learn better and faster, how to memorize better, how to activate our superpower, our super brain, how to read more words per minute. We're going to learn what are the best foods and best nutrition for our brain, and many other things that that Jim is going to share with us. Samo da pozdravim sve na srpskom jeziku. Hvala što ste opet došli danas da pratite ovaj Instagram live. Uradit ćemo ga na engleskom jeziku. Danas imamo za gosta Jim Kwika, koji je svetski poznat ekspert za mozak, za ubrzano čitanje, za memoriju i mnoge još stvari koje se tiču aktivacije naših super mogućnosti, barem kada je u pitanju mozak. So I'm going to invite Jim. I hope he's here. I'm going to invite him into this live so we can start this exciting conversation. I'm really looking forward to learn a lot from Jim. I've known Jim for several years. Had a pleasure to host him as well in some of my tennis games in Australia and also in New York. And there he is. Jim.
How are you, champ?
Very good. Welcome, Jim. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. I've been enjoying your lives a lot.
Thank you so much. I've been enjoying your shows, your podcast, your course, and soon your book as well. We're going to talk a little bit later about your new book and of course about your podcast. But first, Jim, for anybody that is joining and that is meeting you and seeing you for the first time, do you mind sharing with us your journey in your career, in your life, and how you got to where you are at the moment as being one of the leading world experts in speed reading, memory improvement, and optimal brain performance?
Absolutely. Well, it's a real pleasure to see everybody here, and thank you for tuning in. My inspiration was my desperation. When people see me on stages, I do these demonstrations where I'll have 100 people stand up and they'll introduce themselves, and I'll memorize all their names, or they'll give me 100 numbers or 100 words, and I'll memorize them forwards and backwards. But I always tell people, I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's possible. Because the truth is, everybody watching right now, they could do that too, and a lot more. We just weren't taught. Because if anything, we were taught a lie. And in the book, I talk about lie is a limited idea entertained. It's not necessarily a truth, but it's a lie that our potential is small, or potential is fixed, or that we have a bad memory. And because I know this, because I grew up with learning challenges. When I was 5 years old, I had a bad accident, a traumatic brain injury, and I had very bad focus. I had very poor memory. I didn't understand things that the teacher would tell me. They would repeat themselves over and over again, and I would pretend to understand, but I didn't really understand. It took 3 years longer to learn how to read with my condition. When I was 9 years old, I was slowing down the whole class, and the teacher pointed to me and said, "That's the boy with the broken brain." And I was like, that label became my limit. And so I struggled for a decade and a half, and I came up with techniques and strategies to be able to unlock the greatest, a gift, superpower we have, which is our mind, because our mind doesn't come with an owner's manual, and school doesn't necessarily teach you how to do those things, how to focus, how to remember things, how to study and be necessarily always your best. They teach you what to learn, but not how to learn. And so I devoted my life and my mission the past 28 years to teaching people how to unlock this incredible brain that they have. Everyday people, any age, any background, any career, any education level, financial situation, gender, history, everybody has this power. And that's my mission, is to build better brains.
That's fantastic, Jim. Thanks for sharing your journey with us. You say quite often, if knowledge is power, learning is superpower. How do we learn better? How do we learn faster? How do we activate that superpower, that super brain?
Yeah, well, we all have this limitless brain, this super brain. It's, again, school doesn't necessarily show us how, but there are a few things that everybody could do to activate more of their brain's potential, because everybody uses, just like their body, we use 100% of our brain, just like everybody uses 100% of their body, but some people do it better than others. They're more efficient because they're fit. And when you're physically fit, you could do things that are looks effortless compared to people who are not physically fit. Well, I want people to be mentally fit, just like how with your trainer, a physical trainer, they make you stronger, faster, more flexible, more pliable, and more energized. I want your mental muscles to be stronger and more flexible and faster and have greater endurance and energized. And there are things you can do to be able to do that. So a few of those things, and I recommend people take some quick notes on this, because I'll give them some real practical tips that what you could update, because more people upgrade their phones than they do upgrade their minds. They upgrade their apps more than they do upgrade their brains. So there's hardware and there's software. And so in the podcast and the programs you mentioned in the book, we teach them how to remember names, how to learn language, how to give a TED talk from memory, how to read faster, how to focus. But there's also have to take care of the hardware. So some of those things, you and I have talked about, I've learned from you a lot, because getting your mind right, if you get your brain right, your mind and your life will follow. And so places that we could go deep in are things like a good brain diet. What you eat matters, especially for your gray matter. That will help your memory. That will help your focus. There are certain foods that will help, that are neuroprotective, will protect your brain and help you learn better. There are getting rid of negative thoughts. We know that thoughts are things. Your brain is like a supercomputer, and your self-talk is a program it will run. But if you tell yourself, I'm not good at remembering people's names, you won't remember the name of the next person you meet, because you program your supercomputer not to. And so you want to be careful with your thoughts. When people come to me and they say, Jim, I'm too old, I'm not smart enough, I say, stop. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you fight for your limits, they're yours. And so many people talk about what they can't do. And I would just change it a little bit and be aware. So if you say, I don't have a great memory, add a little word like yet. I don't have a great memory yet, because it opens up possibility. If people truly understood how powerful their mind is, they wouldn't say or think things they didn't want to be true. And that's not to say you have one negative thought and it ruins your life, any more than eating just that one donut will ruin your life. But if you do it consistently, it won't give you your best. So good diet, reduce negative thoughts. Another thing, physical exercise. We know that physical exercise is good. Whatever was good for your heart is going to be good for your head, because you have more blood flow, more oxygen. When you exercise, you create brain-derived neurotropic factors, which is BDNF, which is fertilizer for new brain growth and new connections. And when people listen to a podcast or they listen to an audiobook, it's been shown if you do it on an elliptical or you do it during a walk, you'll actually retain more of it also. We know that people like the individuals like Steve Jobs and people talking about walking meetings, don't sit in a stale room with bad lighting and everything. If you do walking meetings, you're more creative. You get fresh air, you get sunlight, you have bigger thoughts. So exercise, good for the brain. As your body moves, your brain grooves. Another thing you can do for your brain, besides good brain diet, reduce negative thoughts, and exercise, if you need to, some people might need to supplement. They might need to supplement because their diet doesn't have good omega-3s or good DHA. And so that's the number one, I think, supplement for the brain is DHA, because your brain is mostly fat. And most people don't have enough in their diet. I always prefer people get it from food, but most food, it doesn't have what, nowadays, it wasn't what it was like generations ago, as you know. And that's number 4 is maybe supplement. Number 5 is a positive peer group. Good for your brain is being around good people, because who you spend time with is you become them. They say, be careful if you spend time with 9 broke people, because you're going to be number 10. Because part of your brain, how your brain works, is you have something called mirror neurons. Like you look into a mirror, you start imitating people unconsciously you spend time with. So you start doing the same habits, the same language, you start eating the same foods. You start doing everything as the people you spend most time with. And so you want to be careful. It's not just your neurological networks, it's also your social networks, because who you spend time with, who you become. And we all need to be around people who encourage us. This is why I love you and your messages and your lives. You empower people. You want to be around people who challenge you, who encourage you, who cheer you on, right? Because, and if you haven't found that person in your life, be that person for somebody else, you know, and especially be that person for yourself, you know? So that's number 5, is just positive peer group, good friends. Also 6, I would say good for your brain is a clean environment. When you clean your office, or you clean your desktop, or you make your bed, you have clarity of thought. You know, your external world is a reflection of your internal world. Mm-hmm. You know, when you clean things off, you have better focus. And so, you know, I always have my morning routines that I do, and one of the things, I make my bed, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So train yourself to be excellent, and coming back to a clean environment. When you go back to bed, you come back to success. You know, clean environment. And then finally, 7, I would say sleep. Most people are not getting quality sleep, and you know this.
Yes.
You know, your whole life, when you don't sleep the next day, not just physical toll, there's a mental toll. You don't have good focus, you know, you don't have good memory, you don't make good decisions. And so optimize your sleep, prioritize your sleep. For your brain, the reason why, we know, you know, when you get into good sleep, deep sleep, your body regenerates, but it's also very important for your brain, because it's where you consolidate short to long-term memory. If people have long-term memory issues, they can't remember long-term, check your sleep, because that's where you build long-term memory, in your sleep. Second reason you sleep for your brain is where you clean plaque out of your brain that leads to Alzheimer's, dementia, beta amyloid plaque. That's when your sewage system kicks in, when you sleep. And I lost my grandmother to Alzheimer's, so it's something I'm very passionate about. So sleep. And also, another good thing for your brain, when you sleep, you dream. You know, you spend 20 years of your whole life sleeping, maybe 3 to 5 years of your life dreaming. And dreaming is where magic happens often. It's when you learn and work all day, your brain doesn't shut off at night. It comes up with new ideas and solves problems in your life. People don't know, but Mary Shelley came up with Frankenstein in her dream. You know, Paul McCartney came up with the song Yesterday in his dream. Jack Nicklaus was doing bad in golf. He was shooting high 70s and for a big slump. And then he had a dream about changing his grip. And all of a sudden, the next day, shot 65. You know, he's back on it, because it's your mind. So what is everybody dreaming about? But it means you must get sleep, you know, REM sleep. And so that's 7. And we talk about in our podcast and program how to get optimal sleep. And then finally, 8, protect your brain. I had 3 traumatic brain injuries before age 12. You know, wear a helmet, protect your brain, because it's very resilient, but it's fragile too. And so protect your brain and your children's brain. And then 9 and 10 is 9 new learnings. And everybody who's watching this knows that they love to learn. They won't be watching it. But just like how your muscles grow through novelty and nutrition, so do your mental muscles. You have to give it novelty. It means it creates neuroplasticity. We've learned more about the brain in the past 10 years than the previous 1,000 years. And we find is no matter your age, you can make more connections and get smarter. And so that's exciting, but you need novelty, and then you need to feed your brain nutrition and hydration, everything. So always be learning. It'll actually help you live longer. There was a study done on nuns that were living 80, 90, really long, and they found out half of it had to do with their faith and gratitude, but the other half, they were always learning. And because they were always learning, lifelong learning, it added years to their life, and life to their years. They called the study Aging with Grace. It was beautiful, beautiful. That there was a cover of Big Time magazine. And then finally, best thing for your brain, besides all these things, is stress management. Chronic stress shrinks your brain. Chronic stress, when you are under chronic stress, you know, so what are you doing to, you know, reduce stress in your life? Are you meditating? Are you stretching? Are you getting by? What are you doing to reduce stress? And part of reducing stress, chronic stress shrinks your brain. Chronic fear, if you're always watching the news all the time, it just gives you darkness all the time. Chronic fear suppresses your immune system. It's an area of science called psychoneuroimmunology. Psychoneuroimmunology. If you're in fear mode all the time, it makes you more susceptible to viruses, to flus, to colds. And so you want to make sure that I would stand guard to your mind, what you're feeding your mind. Because sometimes if you overindulge in darkness, there's an algorithm to your mind, like there's an algorithm to Instagram. If you just like all the tennis posts, it will show you more tennis posts, right? If you watch all the tennis videos, the algorithm will feed you more what you engage with. Well, same thing with the human mind. If you're just feeding it fear and darkness and sickness, it'll just start newsfeed through your mind. That's all you see. And then what aren't you seeing? You're not seeing what you could be grateful for. You're not seeing opportunity. You're not seeing, you know, things, possibilities. So, you know, control what goes in to lower your stress. So those are just 10 things I would say would help the human brain have better focus, have better memory, and just work better.
That's amazing, Jim. Thank you so much. This was phenomenal. I'm sure that a lot of people will be very grateful for all the tips that you just gave. And for anybody watching, please go to Jim Kwik's website. There you can find all the things that we're talking about now. You can listen to his podcast. You can buy his New York best-selling book, New York Times best-selling book, Limitless. We're going to talk about that book in a minute. But I wanted to reflect on, you know, all of these things that you talked about. There's so many amazing informations. And Bruce Lipton is also someone that I you know, I'm a fan of, and I follow his work. And he says that 95% of our mind is subconscious and 5% is only conscious. So basically that means that 95% of the time that we spend in a day, it's our subconscious that is taking charge, that is leading us, that is controlling in a way the behavior, that is controlling kind of the way we see the external world. And you talked about this for a little bit. You know, it's very interesting when you talk about neuroplasticity and the new learning, the novelty. How does the environment really and the surrounding affect your ability to create new neurons and be able to create more space for learning and to be able to learn new skills? Because whenever I talk with people about learning new skills, you know, a lot of people just get discouraged for the first time when they do something new. Say they want to learn how to play guitar or whatever it is, or learn a new language, and that a lot of people get discouraged because it's so hard. And the older you get, you know, a lot of people say the older you get, it's harder it gets to learn something new. So is it important to be very persistent with it? Or is there something different in terms of approach of how can we really unlock this ability and kind of convince ourselves, our conscious part of our mind, that it is possible, that we get to enjoy the process? And how do we kind of go through that barrier that seems unbreakable at first?
Oh, I love that. I love that. So let's unpack that. Let's think about everybody. We can make this interactive. Think about an area where you feel limited, where you feel like you're not making progress. Because when I say limitless, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress beyond what you believe is possible. But you're right. Your unconscious, your non-conscious setting in terms of what you feel like. So what you believe is possible, what you believe you're capable of, what you believe you deserve. You can learn a great method, But if your mindset is you don't think you deserve it, or you don't believe you're capable of it, or you think it's just for somebody else, that will keep you at a certain setting. It's like our brain is like a thermostat, and you set it at 80, at a certain temperature, and that's what it makes the environment, and it never gets beyond that. So one of the ways to unravel that is to be clear is, first of all, self-awareness, because as much as that 95% you can make conscious, because most people don't make it conscious. They just go through the script. We go through, and most of our behavior is habitual. Our thoughts are habitual, our actions are habitual, our feelings are habitual. And we know that your thoughts are the language of your mind and your feelings are the language of your body. But if you're always going through the same ones, you wonder why you're not changed, because 95% of those ones are the same ones you had yesterday and the day before that. And then you want to make a big change, but you're still 95% stuck. So how do you unravel that? I use the term unlimiting. Unlimiting. It's the active removal of limits in our life. And I think you have to unlimit 3 areas of our life, and there are 3 M's. And if people could imagine yourself in a box, okay? Because we're all in different areas of our life, stages of our life. But imagine you feel like you're stuck, maybe in a relationship, in a career, in your physical abilities, in your ability to learn something new. Where do you feel like, I can't learn that, I can't do that? And that box is 3-dimensional, right? 3D. So the 3 dimensions that keep you in that box will also unlimit you, will liberate you out of that box. And 3 M's. And I draw them as circles. Like imagine everybody in your mind, or take notes, 3 intersecting circles that cross over with each other. Like a Mickey Mouse, 2 ears and 1 face, and they cross over a little bit. The first circle is your mindset, and that has to be addressed first. And this being champion is, there is a champion kind of mindset of what's possible, because it's often the difference. Some people are physically the same, but the mindset makes a difference. And their mindset, for me, easy to understand, are your assumptions and attitudes about sports, your attitude's assumption about competition, your attitude's assumption about health and food, your attitude's assumption about world. And what will fall in there again in that circle is what you believe is possible, what you believe is you're capable of, what you believe you deserve. The second circle, though, can also keep you stuck in that box, that unconscious box, is motivation, right? Because you could have the limitless mindset, I could do this, I deserve it, but you're not motivated to get out of that box. And there's 3 parts that get you out of that box, 3-part formula for sustainable motivation. The formula for anyone who procrastinates, if you know what to do, but you're not doing it, like prioritizing your sleep and you're not eating the good foods, you know it in your mind, but you can't implement it. 3 parts to motivation. P times E times S3. P times E times S3. So let's play this game. We're going to build the ultimate motivated human being. The first thing you need, that human being needs, is purpose. Purpose. The P stands for purpose. And I don't mean life purpose. I mean the evidence that you're motivated is not what you say. It's not how you feel. People can say I'm motivated, or they can say they feel motivated. But if they're not doing the exercises or they're not doing the work, they're not really motivated, no matter what they say. And what gets you motivated, the first part, is having a reason to do that action, a purpose, because reasons reap rewards, reasons reap results. Often people won't remember someone's name because there's no purpose. Like, why do I need to remember their name? So there's no reason. A lot of people forget what they learn in school, because what do I need sine, cosine, periodic table for? There's no reason. And so if you want to work out, let's use that as an example, because we know exercise is important, everyone agrees, then feel the reasons, not just intellectually. Everyone knows they should do it, but feel the benefit in your heart, head, heart, hands. If you have it in your head and you're not acting with your hands, you're procrastinating, feel it in your heart. And also feel the pain of not doing the thing. Mm-hmm. I saw somebody recently, an acquaintance, and he was not healthy his whole life. And I always say, hey, listen, you should do this or eat this way or exercise, sleep, and stop smoking. And no. And then he had heart attack and triple bypass surgery, cut him open, everything. Still afterwards went back to whole lifestyle and then changed. And then I saw him 2 years later, and he was picture of health, so much younger, everything. I was like, what changed? What happened? It's like, I changed my lifestyle. Now I eat well, I exercise, stop smoking. I'm like, well, what motivated you to do that? He was like, one day I came in and my daughter in the house was crying. And I said, what's the matter? And she was crying because she wanted her father to walk her down the aisle when she grew older to get married. And he heard that and changed everything. He found purpose, right? That's purpose. And then, okay, but you can't just have purpose to be motivated, because my mind goes, if someone feels purpose for reading every day, we know leaders are readers. Reading is to your mind what exercises your body, but you know purpose, but you might not do it because you lack E. The P times E times S3, E is energy. You must have energy. We are energetic beings, right? And so let's say you want to work out, but you have the purpose, you feel it, but you have newborn baby and haven't slept in 3 days. You're not going to be very motivated to work out. Or let's say you want to read a book a week. One book a week, by the way, takes 45 minutes, the average person a day to read, one book a week. But let's say you want to be motivated to read, you know purpose, you make more money, you have more impact, you help people, but maybe you ate big processed meal and you're in food coma, you have no energy, you're not going to be motivated to read. So you must take energy. That's what we talk about a lot about energy, right? And then P times E, is it? Are you always motivated? No, you could be missing S3, 3 S's. Small, simple step. Small, simple step. Because often people are not motivated because their goal is way too big. Yeah, I want to be, top champion. I want to have a perfect body. I want to meet soulmate and live happily ever after. I want to create $1 million business. Way too big. And if it's too big, intimidating, you're not going to be motivated. If it's too confusing, confused brain doesn't do anything. And so small, simple step is, maybe it's not working out for an hour. Maybe that's, for some people, that's too big. So maybe a small, simple step, putting on running shoes. Maybe reading for an hour, too big in their mind. Maybe small, simple step, opening a book, reading 1 line, 2 sentences, right? Then you're more likely to do it. And how you find your small, simple step, everybody, ask yourself question, what is the tiniest action I could take that give me progress towards this goal? So tiny, I cannot fail. What is the smallest thing you could do? And then little by little, a little becomes a lot. And going back to persistence, if you're persistent, you can achieve it. But if you're consistent, you could keep it, right? You want to be consistent, little by little, every day. Because some people could do it for short term and get that, and achieve that success. But if they're not consistent, they lose it. And so little by little becomes a whole lot. And so that's small, simple steps add up to big things. So mindset, motivation, and the last M, the last circle, is methods. Methods. Now, these are the strategies on how to be physically fit. These are the methods for, having good diet. These are the methods for building a business. It could be any area of your life that you struggle with, or your methods for reading, or your methods for memory. Now, here's the magic for everybody. Here's the aha. Where mindset crosses over with motivation, I'm going to give you 3 I's. You have inspiration. Inspiration. So you have mindset experts and mindset books. I recommend a book called Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. Very, very good book. Motivational experts, motivational books. Where they cross over, you have inspiration. And you have inspiring books, you have inspiring speakers, you have inspiring movies. And inspiring people, like they see you perform and they get inspired because it changes their mindset, what's possible, and it motivates them for a little bit. And that's inspiration. The second I, it's when mindset crosses over with methods. Mindset and methods cross over, you have ideation. Ideation, what does that mean? It's just an idea. Because in your mindset, maybe you believe limitless mindset, and maybe you have methods, but it stays in your head because you don't have motivation. So that's just ideation. And then finally, where motivation and methods cross over, last I, you have implementation. Where somebody is motivated, they have purpose, energy, and they know what to do, methods, they have implementation. But they could be still stuck in that box because they're only going to be able to achieve what their mindset allows. And where all 3 M's and all 3 I's hit in the middle, that's integration. Integration, like integer, integral, means your whole. And that's your whole self. It's just who you are. And that's the limitless state. As the promise of the book is that when you are struggling in your life, in your learning, or in your life, any area, you don't have to judge yourself and be hard on yourself. You could say, is it my mindset? Do I not believe it's possible? Do I not believe I deserve it? Do I not believe I'm capable? Or is it my motivation? Is it my purpose? Do I not feel it? Do I not have energy? Am I not breaking it down to a small, simple step? Or am I using old training methods? or all old nutrition methods or old eating methods or old reading methods. You know, maybe I have to, and so my message for everybody, there's a quote in the book says, life is C between B and D. Life is the C between B and D. B is birth, D is death. C, life, is choice.
Nice.
We always have choice. And I believe right now, these difficult times can define us, these difficult times can diminish us, or these difficult times can develop us. We decide. We always have a choice. Do not downgrade your dreams to meet this current situation. Do not downgrade your dreams to meet this current situation. Upgrade your mindset, your motivation, and your methods to be able to meet your dreams, your destiny.
I love it. Basically, take the matters of your life in your own hands and take action, rather sit back and react to what the circumstances are and what the world is basically trying to impose on you. Create your own reality, create your own world. I love it because I'm a big believer in dream big. I think going back to what you were talking about on kind of the small, simple steps.
Yeah.
And for some people, you know, if you dream big, obviously something might be so large that you can't comprehend, that you just can't get a grasp, or you can't get, you don't see yourself being there, achieving something that seems so large that it's just out of your league. It's not your level. So you give up, right? And so I feel like the right balance, I mean, at least in my own experience, was always, because I had a very big dream for a kid in Serbia. I was growing up in a war-torn country, in difficult circumstances, like literally, you know, no money, economy, everything was falling down. And then but I always dreamed of becoming a world best tennis player in an expensive sport that my parents didn't even know whether I can play it or not. I was 7 when I actually, you know, had a dream, very vivid dream. Talk about dreams. I had a very vivid dream of myself holding a Wimbledon trophy and being there and achieving my dream, reaching my dream of holding a Wimbledon trophy and being #1 at the same time. In 2011, that happened. So I'm really grateful to my parents and for them to create such environment for me where that dream didn't seem to be unreachable. It didn't seem to be unrealistic, impossible. Even though there's a lot of like super majority of the people that just, you know, told myself, me personally, when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, but also to my parents, what are you doing? Why are you telling him this is achievable? I mean, he's never going to make it. I mean, how can you make it? You know, your country is falling apart, and you know, you have no money. He can't even travel to tournaments, and you want him to be a #1 tennis player in the world, where we have zero tennis tradition and history in our country, you know, on that level. So I do believe that if you dream big, you know, you should dare to dream big. Mm-hmm. And it's not a bad thing, absolutely. Yeah. But I also believe in mental clarity. And in order to have a mental clarity, and in order to take the small steps that you were referring to, you need to have short-term goals and long-term goals, right? You have to have a daily routine and habit that is going to allow you to develop and grow and eventually gain strength and courage and confidence, so that one day you feel, every single year, you feel like you're getting closer and closer to that dream. So this is, it's very powerful, Jim. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because I can definitely relate to what you're saying, because you know, I've been through that in my own life, where I've been through, you know, one extreme where everything seemed impossible for majority of my environment, except, you know, myself, my parents, and very few people, and then reaching that dream and being able to in a way analyze and observe my life and my career and what I've been through, and understanding this whole journey just makes me more grateful and more appreciative. And I can also be identify with what you're saying even more. I can definitely confirm to anybody watching now, everything that Jim is saying, it is true. I've been through that. Everyone can go through that in your own field of life. But as you said, the small thing, making your bed in the morning, understanding, you know, that the clean environment affects you, affects your clarity. And then I think the big one that you talked about is purpose.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you have a dream, you want to, you know, be the best sportsman in the world, or you want to be the best doctor in the world, or whatever it is, you want to help this many people, you know, I think there has to be a purpose that is noble and that is I think, aligned with the life's values and in harmony with yourself and with life and universe. I truly believe that, because I mean, we have, you referenced that we have the supercomputers, the smartest computer and the most sophisticated computer is right there. And I fully agree with that. And that computer is a mechanism of some kind as well. So it does follow their habits and routines. So it will follow whatever you tell him to follow, whatever your intention is, whatever your motivation is, whatever you see in life as realistic for you, whatever the narrative is on a daily basis, this is what you're going to become. You know, wise sages in Serbian Orthodox religion, some of them said very wise things, is if you think that you can make it, you will make it. If you think that you don't make it, that you cannot make it, you will not make it. You're right, one way or another, right?
Yeah.
And it's not only of course, in Serbian Orthodox religion, it's in all religions. It's you know, all the sages are talking about this, because the whole wisdom is there of understanding that you hold the power in your hands of your thoughts, of your mind, of how the manifestation of the external life will be depending on your internal dialogue and narrative. So that's very powerful, Jim. Thank you so much.
I just got goosebumps. It's nice. It's amazing what you're saying, because despite your external environment, maybe there wasn't a lot of resources and people saying, oh, this is not possible. And usually when people tell you what's not possible, they're talking about themselves, right? And their limitations of what's possible in their life. And I always say to people, don't take criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from. Don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't go to advice from. And I'm saying that it's not about the external world, it's really about the internal world. Like the fact that you grew up in that environment, but your internal environment, you know, what you nourish flourishes and gets better. And so how did you, like, and sometimes the people that bring you down, you give them the power because, you know, and maybe they have good intentions. When I say positive peer group, maybe family and friends, they have good intentions. They don't want you to get your hopes up. They don't want you to get hurt, right? They want you to fall down, you know, but they could be sincere, but they can be sincerely wrong about your capabilities. And, you know, holding that constant and just working for it every single day. I really think the success formula is exactly that. You know, everything you describe about your dream is that purpose, that P times E times F3. Dream big, purpose, and then take those small actions every single day consistently, because, you know,
and feel it. And as you said, you have to take the purpose and you feel it. You feel the energy. You feel your heart is fully supportive of that purpose, because it's aligned. It's aligned with life's values. It's aligned with everything that you know is good in this world, you know, because your parents taught you of you know, character features and virtues and life's values that they want you to stand for and represent in life. And when you feel that you want to do something that is noble, somehow your heart resonates with your mind. Everything is aligned, and you know exactly that is the purpose. And then somehow life arranges things, everything opens up, and all of a sudden everything flows, right? Where your attention goes, energy flows. And so, Jim, before we move on to the questions, if you don't mind, we're gonna have comments on, and we're gonna see see what the questions are from people watching. I just wanted to ask you the last question, because obviously there's so many things we can talk about. We don't have so much time. Obviously, the nutrition, you mentioned the DHA, the fatty acids, very, very important. You mentioned the clean environment. You mentioned the stress management, something that is very important, meditation, the breathing techniques and exercises. I think that's, that's something I do, every day, and it helps me tremendously. Sleep, deep sleep is also crucial. So do you think that you have to go to bed sleeping at a certain hour? Because the REM sleep that you refer to, science actually says that that REM sleep usually happens between 1 and 4 a.m. So do you have to go to bed by a certain time?
Yeah. So from my research, as I understand, each individual, just like biologically, there's these sometimes, kale is good, but for some people they can't digest kale. And so, everybody's a little bit different. And there's a science known as chronotypes, and these are time types that based on your hormonal profile, some people really are early birds and some people really are night owls because they are more effective. I don't know which one you identify with.
Which one are you?
Yeah, for me, I used to be a more night person, but now I'm more early person. I don't know why it shifted the last few years.
Me too.
But
Me too.
Yes, you're more morning. Yeah, it's something.
Well, I think for me it has shit. Sorry to interrupt, but for me it was because of the parenthood. Because I think I was forced to wake up very early because of the duties. Yes. But I do like to sleep in, and I mean when I'm competing, it's crucial. I mean, of course, when I'm not in a competition and not on a professional mission traveling, of course, I value sleep tremendously, but I can feel that my body is not asking for as many hours, so quantity of sleep. Whereas when I'm competing and training hard, my body just needs time to regenerate more. But I did with myself notice as well, if I go to bed before midnight or like between 11 p.m. and midnight, I do wake up earlier and I'm fresher. Whereas if I go post midnight or like 1 a.m., which happens as well, I'm not as fresh in the morning. So that's why I asked you about the time.
Yeah, I would love to address this because, and I'm just curious. So when you're training and you're in competition mode, what time do you go to sleep usually?
Well, it just does depend because sometimes in a lot of tournaments I play night matches. Yeah. So if I play 7 p.m. or even 9 p.m., sometimes I go 3 a.m. to sleep. Right. And that's not great, but those are the circumstances. But normally I try to go like before midnight, like 11:30, like around midnight. That's like because I want to get into the REM by 1 a.m. and just like have a good block between 1 and 4, 1 and 5. Because I read a lot of studies about that it's important between 1 and 4, 1 and 5 that you're in deep sleep. Yeah. So I try to respect that, obviously. And I noticed one thing that I try not to do it. Sometimes I break that rule, but like exposing myself to blue light and watching, my iPad or my phone before going to sleep also affects me. Sure. Me going to sleep faster or longer. Because obviously your brain is working at a certain speed if you're processing the information, so it's harder to get to fall asleep. So those are the kind of like tricks that work for me. Obviously, we're all different, but it was interesting you say that because sleep is absolutely crucial. Buddha said actually sorry, not Buddha. My God, Dalai Lama said that the sleep is the best meditation. I truly believe in that. I mean, that's it's best time for regeneration of your brain, of your body. Absolutely. So, last thing, where can people go to find your book, your podcast? I just want to say that something that is very important to mention that all the proceeds of the book Limitless, that is New York Times bestseller from Jim, go to charity to build schools for children along with healthcare and clean water. Yeah. Can you just maybe talk about the charity causes and why did you pick these specifically for the proceeds?
Sure. I mean, I think the formula for me is you learn, earn, return. You learn so you could earn, and then you have more to be able to return and to give. That success really is be, do, have, share. You have to be so you could do, do so you could have, and then have so you could share more. And so we're very passionate about education because of my learning difficulties. My mother became a school teacher because she didn't know how to help me with my learning challenges. And but there are young girls and boys in various countries that just don't have access to education, clean water, keeps them from going to school, or healthcare. So we're build schools everywhere from Guatemala to Kenya to different places in the world. And we are very big passion about that. And also we donate part of the proceeds to Alzheimer's research in memory of my grandmother. And so I feel like everything should have a cause to it, and not just make a dollar, but make a difference. And also, by the way, that's a wonderful thing for everyone to do in your own way, because it gets you out of fear. Like that fear that's coming, the two things that get you out of fear: gratitude and service. You know, gratitude, and a great exercise for gratitude is this. What if because gratitude rewires your brain for peace and productivity and performance. What if the only things you had in your life tomorrow were the things you expressed gratitude for today? What if the only things you had tomorrow were the things you expressed gratitude for today? Because I believe what you appreciate appreciates. What you appreciate appreciates. It gets better. And so so we have a book called Limitless. This is called Limitless. You'll see it backwards here, but it's at limitlessbook.com. limitlessbook.com. And then we gift everybody. I want this to be the most read book on everyone's shelf. A lot of people buy a book and it sits on your shelf and it becomes shelf help, not self-help. When you go to limitlessbook.com and get the book there, I gift you a 10-day speed reading memory focus program, because I want most people, like if somebody's not good at tennis, they don't play much tennis. If you're good at it, you're going to do it more often and you're going to get better at it. It's because it's fun, because you're good at it. A lot of people don't read because they're not good readers. And we know that reading is good for everybody in their mind, great mental exercise. So when you buy it at limitlessbook.com, I gift you a 10-day reading memory focus program. So when the book arrives, you're ready to read it because you have skills. And then bonus chapter, Limitless for Kids. And then also we're going to do a 4-week book club there. Everyone live. I'm going to teach you how to, there's 4 stages to the book, The Hero's Journey. You actually love this when you get it. It's Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey that every good movie was based on. And this is the diagram I was talking about earlier. But that's it. And then on social media, at Jim Kwik. And if you have podcasts, if anyone listens to podcasts, just search Jim Kwik. And then it's a free show, 15 minutes, no advertising. We just want to put it out there, how to remember names, how to learn languages, how to change your children's habits, all of that. But yeah, this is
fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jim. And if you don't mind, just before we end this conversation, if you don't mind answering 3 questions from, yes, I'm just going to turn the comments on. So anybody there, you can ask your questions to Jim and myself. I'm going to go through some of the questions. Thank you, by the way, Jim, for your efforts and your energy. It was amazing. And also thank you guys for asking questions. I'm just going to go through some of the questions right now. Let me see. The profile name Saudi Ryan, thank you for your question, Ryan, is asking, can you please ask Jim what are the books he reads and that he would recommend, and what are the books basically behind you? What are your favorite ones?
Oh, this is real bookshelf. It's not like special background. Some of my favorite books, The Magic of Thinking Big is a wonderful book. It talks about dreams. Another great book is Man's Search for Meaning, meaning that everybody can have, bad things happen, but you could decide what things are, that you can maybe find a gift in anything. And so I like Magic of Thinking Big. I like Man's Search for Meaning. I like I like a book called The War of Art. Is a wonderful book. The War of Art, not The Art of War, but The War of Art. And so many good books. It depends on what they were most interested in subject-wise.
That's great.
What the subject is, but there's so many good books. Start with Why by Simon Sinek, great book. Finding Your Purpose, good book.
Phenomenal. Okay, so we have a question from Lucy here. Should we fear this coronavirus, and what should our mindset be in these particular circumstances?
Great question. Great question. So what we're saying before at the beginning of this conversation, which I don't know how many people are listening, that if you will just look at fear all the time, it suppresses your immune system, makes you more susceptible to colds, flus, viruses, and that chronic stress will shrink your brain. When I said life is the C between B and D, B is birth, D is death, C is choice, there are 5 choices you can be making. I feel like the metaphor everyone could have is we're cocooning. We want to come out of this as a butterfly, the symbol of transformation. And we're going through a life cycle, a change of economic cycle, a earth cycle, health cycle. And so what are 5 quick things you could do while you're cocooning? Because when you're alone with your thoughts, your fears, your doubts. But 5 things you could do. Number 1, clarity. As you mentioned, your values, that you learned from your parents. When you're going really fast, sometimes we don't know if we're going in the right direction. So just check in with yourself, saying, what's most important to me in my life? What's most important to me in my career? What's most important in my relationships? And then the second question that you ask naturally, are my actions aligned with those values? Because a lot of people they say they're burnt out because they're doing too many things. Maybe you're not burnt out because you're doing too much. Maybe you're burnt out because you're not doing enough of the things that are noble for you. You know what I mean? And so number 1, clarity. Number 2, care. We talked about that. While this is going on, take care of yourself. The 10 things we talked about. Number 3, contribution we talked about. That will get you out of fear. You can make a choice. It doesn't have to be a big one. Just calling up a friend saying, are you okay? Or maybe somebody's elderly and making sure they have food, right? Something contribution. And number 4, creativity. During the Great Plague is when Shakespeare wrote Macbeth and Antony and Cleopatra. So you can make a choice during this time to be creative, because that's where the world belongs to, the creators. That's not going to go to AI. It's not going to go to automation. Your ability to create and imagine new things. What have you always wanted to write, or music you want to make, or how do you want to create? And then finally, last C is capability. What can you learn? You have your to-do list, but what's on your to-learn list? And all these things would change your mindset from fear to fulfillment.
That's wonderful, Jim. Last question comes from Kamis Krofani. Thank you very much for your question. What happens when one of your members of the family is the one that has negative energy?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Sometimes when I talk about positive peer group, you can't get it perfect. The goal is never perfect. It's progress. You can love your family and still know that I spend a lot of time in senior centers, to learn and help them with their memory. But you also hear a lot of regret. When people are taking the final breath, they tear things. And the biggest regret is they shrunk their life to fit into something that other people expected them, family members or friends. They didn't date somebody or start a relationship because of what people would think. They started a career because they were expected to. And I would say if that's the biggest fear people have, is regret, is to say this. Imagine you're taking your final breaths in life. It's not a pleasant thought to end with. But at that time, nobody's expectations, none of their opinions, none of your fears will matter. What will matter is how you laughed, how you lived, how you learned, how you loved. Like, come from that place. And so if a family member brings you down, you can still love them from, there, but be around positivity, because viruses and fear is contagious, but so is positivity and performance, kindness, love. That's contagious too. And that's all free. So spread kindness everywhere.
Absolutely. I would just add to what you said, Jim. I think that something that is very, very powerful that I've been experiencing when I have some conflicts with the family members, or some relationship with the close ones, is always trying to be conscious of acceptance and gratitude and appreciation for that moment, for the lessons and informations that person who is close to you is bringing to you, because obviously you reacting to the information that is coming, or the energy that is coming, or judgment, whatever it is from the person that is close to you, is some kind of lesson from the universe, from God, is something that obviously is reflecting in you that needs addressing. If you know what I mean, there's something inside of you that obviously needs you to dedicate yourself to that and understand what do you have to do in order to improve it. Because if you are compulsive in your reactions, as I am, I find myself many times just being upset about something instantly, and then I realize, geez, what? Yeah, I mean, why do I need to react in that way? You know, and then I regret for reacting that way. And then, you know, then I understand that there are so many things that are still programmed inside of me that I carry for a long time that I have to obviously address. And I think, you know, everyone can start with just understanding, being conscious of that, understanding that's part of you, accepting that's part of you, not being ashamed, whatever it is, not being ashamed, because I was ashamed of my reactions of myself many, many times, of what I've done on the court and things I've done off the court as well. And then I realized that I have to accept myself for who I am. Yeah. And there's magic in the accepting and truly feeling that acceptance and loving yourself, and then starting to understand the different layers, you know, that need addressing in order for you to be the better version of yourself than you were yesterday. Yeah. So thank you, Jim, so much. I really appreciate your time and you being.
Can I challenge everyone? Can I challenge everyone to do something real quick?
Yes, please.
So I agree what you say, that, you know, everything you want in life, imagine it, feel it, believe in it, and then just work daily for it. You know, and so you have the success is knowing yourself, being yourself, trusting yourself, loving yourself, and then and going for it. I challenge everyone to take a screenshot right now of this and to post it and share your big one takeaway, because when you want to learn faster, learn to teach somebody else. And when you share and pay it forward, the world is a better place. So if you got one gem, you know, from this conversation, maybe what you could do is take a screenshot and tag us both and post it and share what you learned, just one thing with your friends, with your family members. And I will repost some of my favorites, and I'll actually gift the book to one random person as a gift, because I think small, simple steps. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. I really appreciate your kind heart. Thank you so much, Jim.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Chad.
Well, I'll see you soon somewhere. Hopefully we can play some tennis.
I look forward to it. Life is like tennis. Those who serve well, they tend to win. Okay, they don't lose. They don't learn. So always serve.
Although my strength is returning.
That's good. And also returning the serve also.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you, Jim. Cheers. All the best. Thank you.